For the benefit of the people outside of Tucson, I'm going to repeat that we seek refuge in God from Satan. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. We're starting today on Surah 64. And where is Lisa? What happened? Oh. See just go around with this. See who they raise their hands. First, I want to welcome Slim and his wife. She's here for the first time, and he was here last week. So I'm glad he came back. Stephanie. And also, I didn't get a chance to welcome Philip's wife. She was here 2 or 3 times, and I was wondering who she was. Finally, he told me. So welcome to the group. You notice in the new translation, the word God is written in bold, big letters. And at the bottom of the page, on the left side, you see the number 9. This is the number of occurrences of the word God in this page. If you count them easily, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the total, the word God in this page. And on the right side is the total up to this page, from the beginning of the Quran. The objective of this is to let the reader participate in the mathematical code of the Quran, which proves to the person that he is looking at God's message to him or her. And this is not a human-made book. Muhammad didn't just invent it and make it up. You are reading God's message, and this mathematical code gives you the confidence that God is speaking to you, not any human being who's trying to fool you. The total number of the word God in the Quran, as you know, is 2,698, which is a multiple of 19. 19 being the common denominator throughout the Quran. And I'm using just this word as an example. But every letter in the Quran is mathematically coded, mathematically composed, and the whole system is easily superhuman, as all of you know. So this is one observation I want to make about the translation. Of course, the Arabic will go in the empty rectangle here. We don't have the Arabic yet. So inshallah, we'll be sending it to the press around the end of April. So towards the end of April. No, towards the end of May. At the beginning of May. I'm trying to calculate when the night of power is. We're going to send it off, inshallah, on the night of power, which is May 3. Right, okay, there we go. I was adding April 7 plus 27. Comes to April 34th. So, yeah. So that's very late in April. Or very early in May. It will take 6 or 7 weeks to print, and then we'll have the Arabic and the complete book with us. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful. Glorifying God is everything in the heavens and everything on earth. To Him belongs all kingship, and to Him belongs all praise, and He is omnipotent. This is a heavy verse right there. Glorifying God is everything in the heavens and everything on earth. And this includes things, includes the bodies of the disbelievers. Because the disbeliever does not control his heartbeats. There's a specific number of heartbeats, and the disbeliever does not control that. God controls that. So the human body is glorifying God. Every atom in your body, every atom in this carpet, in this wall, is glorifying God. We have chemists and physicists here, and they know that every atom in the wall or the floor or the ceiling, inside this light, every atom has a nucleus and a certain number of electrons, and they're continuously moving in a specific way. It's a microcosm of the cosmos. Glorifying God is everything in the heavens and everything on earth. To Him belongs all kingship. God is the one who hires you or fires you. God is the one who determines how many dollars you get. Not anybody else. God decides the provisions. Somebody was telling me today that they were getting another child, and somebody asked, can you afford it? That's the wrong question. The question is not, can you afford it? The question is, can God afford it? Because God is the one who brings the people into this world, and God is the one who provides for them. When a child is born, God provides for that child, not you. To Him belongs all kingship, and to Him belongs all praise. He is omnipotent. And God, these are all important attributes of God that we must know. Omnipotent means He backs up His guarantee. And He guarantees you perfect happiness if you are in His domain. If you do your part, carrying out the commandments, God will do His part. Perfect happiness, success in everything you do. Guarantee. God's guarantee or warranty is much better than General Motors. Guarantee or warranty. When you have a warranty from Lee Iacocca, you have confidence in it. Because he backs up his warranty. 7 years or 7,000 miles. And you take this piece of paper and you're happy with it. Well, God is omnipotent and He guarantees your happiness. It's true. God is giving you a warranty in this Quran. And He says, if you do your part, I will do my part. This is in Surah 2 at the beginning, as you know. It says, Awfu bi'ahdi, ufi bi'ahdikum. Do your part, I'll do my part. And our part is nothing. What is it? 5 prayers a day, fasting the month of Ramadan, are things that are good for us. This is our part. It's like God is saying, come, you're going to be happy, and I'm going to give you all the money you want and all the health you want, on condition that you do your part. A lot of people say, no, I don't want to be happy and healthy. I want to be miserable. You don't want to... Yes. Now, God's part is overwhelming. It's great. Verse number 2. So the word omnipotent backs up this guarantee. The guarantee is outright in the Quran 23 times in the Quran. God guarantees you perfect health. For example, in Surah 10 verse 62. I'd like to go back to this because a lot of people can't envision. They can't envision that God controls every atom in their bodies and can decide how much health they have. When God tells you, I'll give you perfect health, when you do your part, God the omnipotent means that. You have to share the new Quran, Greg, with somebody. This is the importance of omnipotence. Okay, in Surah 10 verse 62, God says, absolutely, God's allies or God's people have nothing to fear, nothing to worry about. لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. And then it gives you the description of these people. It says, those who believe and lead a righteous life. Those who believe in God and they lead a righteous life. They're nice people, they're honest, truthful, and their God is their God. God is always in their mind. Everything they do, everything they say. Those who believe and lead a righteous life. For them is happiness in this world. I'm quoting now. Quoting those verses. Verse 62 of Surah 10. For them is happiness in this world. And this is God speaking. And in the hereafter. So this warranty or guarantee from God is repeated 23 times in the Quran. Now, as you know, Satan tricks the other people who deviate from the Quran, and they have other sources like Hadith and Sunnah and God knows what. All kinds of sources besides the Quran. The number one Hadith goes like this. The most righteous among you is the most miserable. This is a very famous Hadith. Because Satan knows that he cannot give them happiness. And actually the Hadith goes on and says, the most miserable are the prophets, and then the saints, and then the believers. That's right. So, and this is an authentic Bukhari Hadith. It directly against the Quran. The Quran says otherwise. It says those who believe and lead a righteous life are guaranteed happiness. I'm going to go back a little bit again and talk about the title of the surah, Mutual Blaming. Mutual blaming is one of the names of the Day of Judgment. It's called the Day of Resurrection. It's called the Day of Judgment. It's called the Day of Reckoning. It's called the Day of Mutual Blaming. Because this is the day when a lot of people will be blaming each other. You're the one who told me this. No, you're the one who told me this. You took me out of that place. You took me into that place. So there'll be mutual blaming. In fact, the people of hell will spend eternity beating each other. And thanking each other for beating each other. So if you give me 10 kicks, I'll give you 10 kicks. Okay. Mutual blaming. One of the names of the Day of Judgment. Verse 2 says, He is the one who created you. Then among you there is the disbeliever and the believer. God is fully seer of everything you do. There are only two kinds of people. People in God's kingdom and people in Satan's kingdom. There's nothing else, no other choices. Although there are categories within each section. For example, the Satan's kingdom has the disbelievers and the hypocrites. And both of them fall under the bigger category of disbelievers. Other names for believer and disbeliever is appreciative and unappreciative. These are other names. Appreciative of God or unappreciative. And we're going to get to this in Surah 76. Not today. But these are the other synonyms of believer and disbeliever. Appreciative and unappreciative. Because God gave you a lot of good things in advance. And then He asked you to show your appreciation. Let us take, for example, your eyes. Just your eyes. And I've shared this with some of you before. If you're walking out in the street and somebody puts a gun to your head, and he says, your eyes or five prayers a day, what will you do? Not your eyes or your money. You're going to say, you either give me your eyes or promise me to do 5 prayers a day. Or what will you choose? This is a real... That's right, easily, right? So God gave you your eyes in advance. If you want to appreciate them, just close your eyes for a couple of minutes. It's something that we take for granted. I hope none of you is colorblind, but if you look around and you see the red, the blue, and the green, all these nice colors, God's people are perfect anyway. You notice? Alhamdulillah, thank God, we all have 2 eyes each. So God gave you these eyes in advance, and He said, you do 5 prayers a day. Appreciative and unappreciative. The people who are not worshipping God alone are not appreciative. I didn't mention the lungs, or the kidneys. Nobody will want to substitute God's kidneys for the technologically advanced artificial kidneys that they have. They're small now. They're only about 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide and 3 feet deep. And these are the most advanced kidneys. They take the patient's blood completely into the machine. And it's not as good. You should see those people. So we thank God. He gave you all these things in advance. Number 3. He created the heavens and the earth for a specific purpose. Designed you and perfected your design. Then to Him is the final destiny. Footnote 64:3 says, we are in this world due to God's immense mercy and most gracious will to redeem us after we committed the gross blasphemy. See the introduction in Appendix 7. You know, a lot of people say, why did God bring me here? I didn't want to come here. Because they don't understand why we are here. If they read the Quran, they will know why we are here. And they will realize that we committed a gross crime billions of years ago, and God decided to give us a chance to redeem ourselves, to denounce idol worship. But the majority of people insist on idol worship. The vast majority of Christians insist on worshiping Jesus, and the vast majority of Muslims insist on worshiping Muhammad. It's just a human nature. They're all humans. And the Quran makes that statement in advance. It says most people, no matter what you do, will not believe. Because God knows these are the creatures who committed that blasphemy billions of years ago. And I don't want to bore you with the repetition of what it is. And then God says that of the minority that will believe, the majority will fall in idol worship. Because God knows, this is what brought us here. We did not uphold God's absolute authority. And this is why we have that tendency to idolize saints and prophets. The vast majority of people fall in that trap. So He created the heavens and the earth for a specific purpose, which is redeeming those among us who deserve to be redeemed. So we can go back and rejoin God's kingdom. If we fail, then we will be exiled from God's kingdom, and that is hell. It only makes sense, like I told you at noon today. If you're a chairman of the board of a company, you don't want the lazy employees. It will cause the company to lose. And instead of God firing us completely, He said, I'll give you a chance to educate yourselves, redeem yourselves, and then come back to me. This is the specific purpose. God designed you and perfected your design. And the design of the human being is fantastic, and we never tire from describing it. Like I was using somebody the other day to give the example. We can use Greg now. See, Greg is scratching his face. Okay, his hand is like this, but it goes like that, and then it turns and scratches his face. He takes it for granted. But this is quite a design. There are two bones in your arm here that can go around each other, so it can go like this. How many times do you take it for granted? You go like this. You don't even think. God perfected our design. Can you scratch every part of your body? This is God's design. Your arm is not too short. You can reach every inch of your body. Not me, but if I maintain the natural weight, I will. See? So it's my fault. If there is any flaw in your design, it's your fault. Designed you and perfected your design. Anything that goes wrong. This is very important, because people will tell you, how about the person who's crippled? It's very important to understand that that person is a victim of Satan. They removed themselves from God's protection, and that caused the Satan's victimizing them. And the perfect example that we know, and we talked about it before many times, is Rabbi Kushner of Boston. Rabbi Kushner of Boston. His book is full of blasphemies against God, unfortunately. Not all the Jewish people are like that, but he is a rabbi, and he should know better. But he wrote this book when bad things happen to good people, and he totally misunderstands. He does not understand Satan's role at all. And he says that the bad things happen because God cannot control everything. God is not omnipotent according to him. His book is just full of blasphemies. Now what happened to him, his son was born with this progeria disease, rapid aging disease. And in 14 years he died. So what happened was, Rabbi Kushner, by blaspheming against God in this manner, he removes himself from God's protection. And And Satan fooled around with the embryo, with his son, when he was inside the mother. And the child was born defective. So, whose fault is it? The child was victimized by Satan. And Rabbi Kushner was victimized by Satan in the same way. Because God guarantees your health through the angels, God's angels. God has some of the best surgeons in the world. If you are to, anything wrong happens in your body, they can go in your body and fix it. Alaykum salam. And Satan has the same ability because he was an angel. So remember that any flaw is a result of Satan's interference. But when you look around here, this is the basic design of God. Designed you and perfected your design. Then to him is the final destiny. When he gave you 2 eyes, because some people have accidentally lose 1 eye, so they have another spare. Even though everyone is perfectly guarded, nothing happens against the will of God. And God promises to protect you as long as you are in his domain. He gave us 2 kidneys in case one of them stops for some reason. And remember, 2 ears and 1 mouth. I should learn from this and stop talking. I'm put on the spot here because General Spooner went AWOL. He was supposed to be here talking. He called from Memphis today. He's alright, by the way. Okay, verse 3 ends by the statement, to him is the final destiny. Okay, so every one of us is going to go back, and if we did our part, we'll be prepared to join God's kingdom. If we did not do our part, and we did not develop ourselves, we will not be able to be there physically. God forbid. The people who did not prepare themselves will go to hell on their own volition. God will not put anybody in hell. They will go to hell on their own volition. And we have examples. The bugs. You put the light fixture on and you screw it in very tight, and still the bugs, they work very hard to work through this thread and go inside to die. This is how the human beings do. They work very hard to go to hell. So God gives us lots of examples in this world. Number 4, verse 4. He knows everything in the heavens and the earth. And he knows everything you conceal and everything you declare. God is fully aware of the innermost thoughts. Did you ever come across people who think that God is not aware of them? So, who am I? God doesn't pay attention to me. They think God doesn't see them. But this verse here is telling us God is fully aware of every single ant. There are some termites in this building somewhere. We are not aware of them, but God is. And he knows how much they're supposed to eat and when to stop them. God is fully aware of every single creature, every single atom. He knows everything in the heavens and the earth, and he knows everything you conceal and everything you declare. We just cannot have a complete comprehension of God's omnipotence and power. Look how he created you, and the blood pumping in your body in a perfect design. If you sleep in your arm for a couple of hours at night and the circulation is not right, you get a nightmare or something to move you. Because the circulation has to be perfect. He knows everything you conceal and everything you declare. So if you do your part, God is aware of it. Everything is recorded. Consciousness of God is very important. Wherever you go, just remember God is with you. You must be conscious that God is with us here right now. He's aware of everything we're doing. He's aware that you're here to study His message. You want to redeem yourself and go back to God, join His kingdom. God is aware of that. And these are heavy verses. Verse number 5 says, "Have you noted those who disbelieved in the past, then suffered the consequences of their decision? They incurred a painful retribution." God is teaching us from the past history, and these are factual observations. We know that Pharaoh drowned in the sea. We know that. We know that Moses and the believers crossed the Red Sea. There were no bridges then, no Golden Gate Bridge, but they crossed the Red Sea from Egypt to Sinai. We know Pharaoh drowned, and his body is full of salt in the Cairo Museum. Have you noted those who disbelieved in the past, then suffered the consequences of their disbelief, their decision? And usually it is the end that counts. See, the believers may go through a purification process, a polishing process, like the stone that goes through a lot to become a gem. But there is these machines, these polishing machines are very severe. So the believer may go through that, but he or she will emerge like a gem in the end. And we'll have this, all these guarantees will be fulfilled. The purpose of a purification process is just that, purification, to make you a perfect human being. A person who does not lie, cheat, trustworthy, righteous. Purification. And God will take each one of these at a time and cleanse you from it through a polishing process. Remember Shahan's khutbah on Friday when he didn't want to do the push-ups? See, he's young and he's going through the polishing process, but he will emerge like a gem. Purification process done by the master purifier. But those who disbelieve, their end is always bad, always. Their last 15 or 20 years are the most miserable years of their lives. And the opposite is true with the believers. I think tonight we're going to come to the law that says that nothing happens to you except in accordance with God's will. This is one of the two important laws. The other law says nothing happens to you except as a consequence of something you have done. These are negative. Nothing except. Nothing happens except as a consequence of your work. I was talking to my nephew this morning in Egypt, and he was telling me that he's doing everything right, and he wonders why he gets some problems. So I went with him through a typical day or something, and discovered he doesn't do the morning prayer. Maybe once a week he does the morning prayer before sunrise. So I taught him the law. I said the law is nothing happens to you except as a consequence of something you have done. I told him that God loves him and wants him to do the morning prayer. This is probably what God is choosing at this time to purify him. Every time he misses the morning prayer, he gets a pinch until he does the correlation and realizes that God is aware of him, and like he's watching as if he's the only one on earth. And whenever he misses the prayer, he gets the pinch. The correlation is immediate. And this is why we have also the other law that says worship God in order to attain certainty. This is how you attain certainty, because with this immediate correlation, you're going to realize that God is watching you as if you're the only person in the universe. And when you make a mistake, you get a pinch. It's a kind pinch. It hurts, but it gets your attention. It doesn't hurt permanently. It is the kind that is restorable. God's pinches are all restorable. You don't lose a finger, for example, because you cannot restore that. But you get a pinch that is restorable. You get a headache, for example, because the headaches go away. You lose a few dollars. You can get them back, multiplied manyfold. So this verse number 5 reminds us of these two laws, two important laws. Don't forget them. I think we're going to get to the one that says nothing happens except in accordance with God's will. I believe it is in this surah. Oh, okay. And the other law says nothing happens to you except as a consequence of your work. Nothing happens. I mean, it's quite a statement. It begins with the statement, nothing. ما أصاب من مصيبة إلا بإذن الله. Starts with the negative. Number 6. This is because their messengers went to them with clear proofs. But they said, shall we follow humans like us? They disbelieved and turned away. God does not need them. God is in no need, praiseworthy. See, they made a mistake when they said, shall we follow humans like us? Because the messengers are not the ones that are being followed. It is God's instructions that are being followed. The messenger is one of the people around, is the same as they are, and he himself is required to follow the instructions. So we are all following God when we look at God's teachings and follow them. But here their ego is an important test. So we're told that the painful retribution that is in verse 5 came to these people because their messengers went to them with clear proofs. When Moses threw the staff, became a serpent in front of Pharaoh and swallowed everything else, he still did not believe. God made the Nile into blood in front of them. They couldn't drink for 7 days. And they told Moses, ask your God to give us water again, we will believe. As soon as he became water again, he said, na. We will not believe. I mean, what is this? Frogs, lice, locusts, 9 plagues. And every time they said, ask God to relieve this and we will believe, and then they reneged. So God is fair. When they drowned in the Red Sea, they deserved that. But God gave them enough warnings. This is because their messengers went to them with clear proofs. In this day and age, we have the mathematical code of the Quran, proving this is God's word. But they still make all kinds of excuses to avoid it. For 7. Well, I will go back to 6. God's proofs are always clear and overwhelming, as we are experiencing right here in this mosque. The mathematical miracle of Quran, as you will see, I'm writing it now in Appendix 1, is just overwhelming. I'm using here just the word God as an example, and this alone is enough to prove that this is not human-made. Because the word God, now here we are in the 20th century, using computers, and we are sophisticated, educated people, 3 of us, Lisa, Emily, and myself. We're working on these numbers, the number of the word God. We are not writing them. We're not inventing anything. We're just counting them, keeping track of them. And you have no idea how many mistakes we make. Computers and all. So it makes us appreciate the miracle even more. I was typing a number 2492, for example. And I switched the 9 and the 2. Make it 2429. So I was off by about 70. And there are many other examples where I was off by 1 or 2. But the Quran is perfect. 2,698 of them. That is 19 times 142. And if you take the verses, wherever you see the word God, see, for example, in this page we have verse 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 9. You take these numbers. In the whole Quran, wherever you see the word God and add them up, the total is 118123, which is also a multiple of 19. And this will be printed on the last page of the Quran. This alone proves that this is not human made. I just don't see how they will face God on the day of judgment. People who can look at this and still reject it. I'm trying to emphasize the word clear proof. So clear. And Muhammad couldn't do this. How will he keep track of the word God in the Quran without computers when we made mistakes? And it's already in front of us. Verse 7. Those who disbelieved claim that they will not be resurrected. Yes, indeed, by my Lord, you will be resurrected and you will be held accountable for everything you have done. This is easy for God to do. And God set the system so it is automatic. Tomorrow morning before sunrise, you're going to have 2 choices to make. You have a decision to make. You're going to get up before sunrise and do the morning prayer, or you will not. Only 2 choices. If you force your body to get out of bed and do the morning prayer, you will grow. Your soul will grow. And to put it in our world's terms, you will make a deposit in your post-retirement account. A few $1 million. Just with that one prayer tomorrow. It's actually more than that. I'm just using these numbers of this world. The other choice is that you become a slave of your body and you sleep. Because your body is telling you, oh, it's so much fun to be in the pillow. Your body is telling you that. So if you're a slave of your body, you're going to sleep. And you lose. Because the body is going to go to dust. You are going to live on with your growth and development or your shrunken condition. God made it automatic. So in the very end, you're going to be born into the hereafter what? Either developed, complete person or a deformed, shrunken person. It's in your hand. Those who disbelieved claim that they will not be resurrected. Yes, indeed, by my Lord. Remember, these are mathematically composed letters. God is telling them, yes, indeed, by my Lord. This is the Quran speaking, by the way. Yes, indeed, by my Lord. You will be resurrected and you will be held accountable. You'll be held accountable in this manner. Remember in Surah 17 where it says, nobody will need to be asked, what wrong did you do? It will be obvious who developed and who did not develop. In Surah 55, remember the verse that says, on that day the guilty will not be asked about any of their guilt or their sins. You don't need to. Also in Surah 17, we learned that the differences in the hereafter will be fantastic, will be great. See, the difference between Hani, a child, and his father is 5 feet. In this world, 5 feet. But in the hereafter, the difference between the people will be like somebody will be as big as a cat, and the other will be as big as Phoenix, Arizona, or the state of Arizona. So, the person as big as a cat, you're going to ask him, what did he do wrong? It's obvious. The difference will be huge. See, we're really tiny, we are very tiny. An angel can hold the earth in his hand, see? And you can be as big as that. Remember, we were all in the same company, billions of years ago. Yes, indeed, by my Lord, you will be resurrected and you'll be held accountable for everything you have done. This is easy for God to do. In fact, it's already done. On the day of judgment, when God comes to our world, the people will be automatically stratified according to their size, degree, and development. If you're strong enough, you'll be able to stand the presence of God and you will enjoy it. You'll be in heaven. If you fail to develop yourself, I'm not talking to you, of course, it's the people in the street who need to know that. But the people who fail to develop themselves will have to run away from God. They cannot stand the presence of God. Too much energy. And that's why God is advising us to do the 5 prayers, to fast the month of Ramadan, to be charitable, do all this. He gave us specific things to develop our soul for our good. Because see the end of the verse? Verse 6, excuse me. Because God is in no need. He doesn't want to bother you and have you get up before sunrise just to annoy you. Why does God want you to get up before sunrise? What does He benefit from that? Nothing. It's you who will benefit from that. As a matter of fact, my nephew was complaining what the specific problem was the depression that gets depressed once a month or so. And this is directly related, if you remember Douglas's khutbah, it is directly related to being up in the morning, early. Remember the hat with the light? And that research that was done indicated that people who had extra light in the morning, not at night. Is this right, Douglas? In the morning. So it's not just, you cannot lengthen the day from the night side. It is getting up early in the morning that induces certain chemicals in your head and causes the depression or not. There is a direct correlation. Those who study statistics, the correlation is 1.0 between sleeping too much and headaches and depression. If you sleep more than 8 hours a day, you're guaranteed to have headaches and maybe depression. So God is advising you for your own good. God is in no need. Number 8. Therefore, if you are smart, you shall believe in God and His message, and the light that we have revealed herein. God is fully cognizant of everything you do. It's God's message to the people. After showing us the positive incentives and the negative incentives, God is giving you the conclusion. Therefore, you shall believe in God and His messenger. Why does God want you to believe? If He doesn't need us, it's because He loves us. God loves you. He wants you to believe and follow this light of the Quran to be redeemed, to be saved, to be happy here in this world and in the hereafter. You see this verse that talks about retribution in Sura, in verse 5. See, a lot of people make a mistake thinking that they have to die first and go to the grave for millions of years and then get up before they receive their reward or their punishment. And they just, go forget it, come on. Millions of years, they think. They don't realize that the happiness and the retribution happen here. It is repeated so many times throughout the Quran that we pay here. It starts here. When you make deposit in your retirement account, you draw interest here and benefits in this world. Therefore you shall believe in God and His messenger and the light that we have revealed herein. God is fully cognizant of everything you do. Number 9. The day will come when He summons you to the day of summoning. That is the day of mutual blaming. Here you have two names of the day of judgment. The day of summoning, you will be summoned It is as sure as the sunrise tomorrow morning. All of us, past, present, and future generations, will be summoned before God. And that's the day of mutual blaming. Anyone who believes in God and leads a righteous life, God will remit his sins and will admit him into gardens with flowing streams. They abide therein forever. This is the greatest triumph. So our part is so easy. And this is why mutual blaming, because people who did not believe will find someone who misled them, took them away from the redemption.
And also this describes the selfishness of these believers. They are selfish and they will want to change everything, to give as a ransom everything that they love, that they have.
They probably gave up God in this world for the sake of their spouse or parents or children or whatever. But on the day of judgment, they want to give up those people.
The love of these believers, when they love something, their love is because of their selfishness. They love, for example, their children. Because they have benefit. They do not love anything they don't expect benefit. For example, they do not do anything secretly. They good things, and because they are in fact selfish. But apparently, you may not see it. Any people who do not believe in hereafter, they are selfish in this world. Let's go on. 15. No, it is a flame, eager to burn. It calls on those who turned away, those who hoarded and counted. Indeed, the human being is anxious. Verse 17 tells us that hell will invite people. In Quran we find that Allah personalized the substances. Understand? For example, in chapter 41, 21, verse 21, we see God makes everything speak up. Makes everything speaks up. For example, in 41:11, we see earth and heaven speak. In chapter 23, 62, the record speaks. And chapter 50, verse 30, hell speak. And chapter 27, 82, computer speaks. God makes everything speak up. But what is speaking in our language? You may understand speaking is only by words. But Quran explain the word speaking. The word speak. In 341, we see gesture symbols also is another way for speaking. Allah says for Zechariah, your sign is not to speak with anybody for 3 days, except gestures by symbols you can speak. This exception shows us that symbols or anything that symbol gestures are also way of speaking.
Signals.
Signals, yes. Verse 18, those who hoarded and counted is the one of the important character of these believers. They hoarded the earthly goods, and they are so they are very careful about the substances of this world. And also we can see this character in chapter 74, verse 12, 15. And verse 19 is very interesting. Indeed, the human being is anxious. In Arabic, we see it has been created as anxious. The word has been created. I searched about this because Allah says in chapter 95, verse 4-5, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We have created the human being in the best manner. Allah, and in another verse, please open chapter 32, verse 7. He perfected everything He created. He perfected everything He created. Allah's creation is perfect, but here we see that human being has been created anxious. Apparently, we may see a contradiction between those verses. But if we carefully research on the word khalaqa, we see in Quran when God say about our creation, when mentioned about our creation, He says خلقنا الإنسان, خلقنا, we created. And Allah, when mentioned about His creation, He says always He created best, in best manner. But here it is خلق, has been created, not we created. How do you say in English for this? خلق, unknown. The subject is unknown here.
Passive. This is passive tense.
Passive, yes, passive tense. For example, we can see the passive tense in chapter 4:28. It describes the weakness of human being. خلق الإنسان. You can see that verse, and also the human being has been created hasty. Chapter 21:38, and when Allah describes the weakness and anxiousness and hastiness of the human being, He always describes this as خلق, not خلقنا. It shows us with our free will, we change our creation.
Where is Martha? Is Martha here? Okay, what is the grammatical, what is the term, linguistic term for something that was created instead of I created? Oh, okay, so it's passive is right.
Maybe,
I wasn't
yeah.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
No, but the human being can make himself worried, as you will see in the next verses. In other words, the human being is made something. It's made by the human, not by God. Yeah, right.
We can see in Quran, فَتَبَارَكَ اللَّهُ أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ. Allah is the best of the creatures, the best creator of creators. أَحْسَنُ الْخَالِقِينَ. There are many creators.
You can in other words, we can create our own misery or our own happiness. Well, God instructs, they follow God's laws, they carry out God's laws.
وَقَدْ خَلَقُوا إِفْكًا. Also they create lies.
Just to bypass this linguistic tricks. Dark gray car with the lights on. Small, dark, gray.
No, it's more in the street. Yes, it's on it's right there.
Yula, get the make of the car next time. Not now. Could be. But Emily will find out. Okay, go on. Edip.
Yes, verse 20. If touched by adversity, despondent. If blessed by wealth, stingy.
What kind of car is it? No.
Except for the worshippers, who always observe their contact prayers. Part of their money is set aside for the poor and the needy. They believe in the day of judgment. They reverence their Lord's requital. Their Lord's requital is not taken for granted. They keep their chastity. They have relations only with their spouses or what is legally theirs. Anyone who transgresses these limits is a sinner, and the believers keep their word. They are trustworthy. Their testimony is truthful. And it ends with the same close statement. They constantly observe their contact prayers, Salat, on time. It's like the same verse 23. There are some qualifications, some behaviors of Muslims, important behaviors. First, they observe their contact prayers. And we see this statement also in 23 verse 2, and there are many common verses between here and the beginning of chapter 23.
You say, I'm going to make a note of this with the index. Traits of the believers. Oh, chat. Okay, go ahead.
Part of their money is set aside. The word-by-word translation, they have a part in their money. A part there is known by people. This shows us that charity, the amount of zakat, is known by people. Specified. حق معلوم. 24. Part of their money is set aside. The amount of the charity is known by people.
So give me this back to the group.
Okay.
Specified portion.
Yes.
A specified portion of the money is set
Specified.
aside.
معلوم. And there are parallel verses here between 23 and chapter 23. For example, you see the parallel verse in chapter 23, verse 4. It says, it specifies this as zakah, just verse zakah. Verse 30. Only with their spouses, or what is legally theirs. This is about captives of war.
No, it is not.
It's not. In chapter 4:25, Allah gives us permission to marry with captives of the war.
No, it is not.
Please open chapter 4, verse 25.
Look at the new translation.
Okay.
Edip inherited some of the old stuff where they had wars and captives. What is legally theirs covers all the methods of marriage in the world. There are places where there is no marriage, but a man and a woman will live together forever and have their children, and the society will know that these belong to each other. You don't have anything like that. So the Quran covers all the situations. There are common law marriages in this country, and the Quran recognizes that. That's what legally theirs means.
Interesting. And is there any question about this?
I have a few comments.
Let me talk about.
Okay, 425 talks about slaves. 425 talks about slaves.
Yes, slaves. You can marry with them.
Right, but not war captives.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is very important to note that the people who do not observe, the worshippers who do not observe the contact prayers are anxious. Anxious, I really want a stronger word than anxious. In Arabic, halu'a is worried, always worried, nervous and anxious and worried, always worried. A human, jittery and worried, depressed, and anxiety and worry. If touched by adversity, they become despondent, and when blessed with wealth, they are stingy. Okay, now you can ask yourself these questions: Do you worry? Number two, do you become despondent when something bad happens to you? Number three, are you stingy when you have money? If you have these three traits, then you do not belong with the worshippers, the believers. I remember my father's teacher had a debate with some of the mullahs, and he trapped them into this. He said, do you worry a lot? I said, yeah, we're humans, we worry. They said, if something bad happens to you, do you become upset? And I said, yeah, we're human beings, we do that. And then he said, so I said, well, then you don't belong with the worshippers who observe the Salat prayer, because in verse 22 it says, إِلَّا الْمُصَلِّينَ, except those who observe the Salat prayer. So the lesson is that if you do observe your contact prayers, this will cool you down. You will not worry, you will have nothing to worry about. No fear, no worry. And you will not be despondent when something adversity happens. You will remember what the Quran says, that you may dislike something which is good for you. You may not get the job that you want, but God knows it is not good for you, and you accept that. So you will not be despondent, you will not be miserable because you didn't make it in the job interview. So then we have a bunch of traits of the believers. They always observe their contact prayers, verse 23. 24, a specific portion, 2.5% of their net income is set aside for the poor and the needy, 25. 26, they believe in the day of judgment. These are all traits of the believers. 27, they reverence their Lord's requital. They worry about it. In other words, they don't want it. They know how bad it is. Just making God angry. God doesn't get angry, by the way, but violating His commandments. 28, the Lord's requital is not taken for granted. They always, in other words, when you look at this, you'll be severe against yourself. You will not be lax. You will judge yourself according to these criteria and make sure that you're a believer. You will be strict with yourself. Number 29, they keep their chastity. So, you look at this verse 29 and you keep your chastity. You will not be lax or careless. Keeping the chastity is something that is unusual in this country, because the society evolved so much in the last few decades. Maybe I should get you the piece of paper that Phil handed me. Just 1 second. It's appropriate to this. for all those born before 1945, which probably includes me only. And okay, but here it says, we were certainly not before the difference between the sexes was discovered, but we were surely before the sex change. We made do with what we had. And we were the last generation that was so dumb as to think you needed a husband to have a baby. No wonder we are so confused and there is such a generation gap. But we survived, okay. I think there are some other points here that along the line that we were the last generation that was so dumb as to think you needed a husband to have a baby. So in other words, what happened in the last few decades is really very harmful to the people. And we see what happened with AIDS, the spread of venereal diseases. Yes, lesbian mothers, things that those who born in 1940, before 1945 never heard of these things. But verse 29, the believers do not take it lightly. 29. I'm writing an appendix on chastity and virginity for our children. Our children better be different from the other children. It is your responsibility to teach your children for their own good that they must be virgin on their wedding night. And I'm talking about boys and girls. And I'm going to show in the appendix how the happiness of your children depends on that. The price is just too high if they don't follow this verse, this very short verse, 29. They keep their chastity. The price is really too high. Now, even from the physiological and the physical point of view, the boys and the girls, when they mature first and they're ready they're not ready. I mean, physiologically, they may have their menstruation, or they may, the voice may change, the boy's voice may change, but physiologically and anatomically, they are not really ready for sex. But in this country, they delve into sex without being ready, and they hurt themselves, and they pay the price when they grow up. This is from the purely physical and physiological point of view. But from the practical point of view, God sees to it that those who violate this, our boys and girls must be taught not to violate this, that they must keep their chastity, because when they do that, they pay from their happiness. They will not have a happy marriage. They will not have a happy life. And mind you, it is not easy. You must teach them that it is not easy to keep your chastity, especially in a society like this. Joe Sobrin is a reporter with the Los Angeles Times, and he had a wonderful commentary only yesterday or the day before. He says these boys, they go out and they have sex as if there are no consequences, but the consequences are abortions, dangerous things that happen to, and the children who have, these boys have no intention of raising them or supporting them. They create a lot of misery. That was Joe Sobrin's commentary, and he is not a Muslim. But here we are reading the Quran, and God knows what is good for us. And He is telling us that the believers must keep their chastity. All of you are young, and you have children who are growing. And I want to repeat and emphasize and re-emphasize that it is your responsibility. If you just do your part, God will do the other part. You cannot just leave them to the world out there. You have to do your part by teaching them what the Quran is saying, what God is saying. Because if you really love them, you want them to be happy when they grow up. And one source of misery will be to break these laws. They are not physiologically ready. They'll be breaking God's law, and the price is too high. And I know you do want them to be happy. So I'm going to write this appendix in detail. And you can use it, okay? Use me to give them these instructions. It is very difficult to be a father or a mother and you talk to children about sex. It's a kind of awkward. But if you use the Quran, tell them this is what God says. Here's the appendix, read it. And God will help you and will protect them. So, and they emphasize to them that it is not easy. You must exert, tell them they'll have to exert a lot of control. Because the temptation is so great out there. And you are helping them this way when you tell them it is not easy. But you must exert for your own happiness and your own good. You must exert a lot of control. You must resist. You know, they have a big thing saying, say no to drugs. But you never say no to sex. Even though it is disastrous. Is there? Well, subhanallah. Okay. Yes, this is a shock.
Yeah, before they always say, use contraceptives, whatever, they always say first, say no. And other substances they always say that.
Because this, I think it was Valentine's Day at the university and they distribute free condoms. It's like telling them, go have sex, They don't realize what they're doing and how much unhappiness they're causing to these kids. But this is good news. Now God is forcing, God says in Surah 41 verse 53 that God will show them His signs in the horizons and within themselves until they realize that this is the truth. This is what's good for us. There is a big campaign in the country against alcohol. They don't do it because God said so. But they're forced by the disasters, the social disasters and the broken families and the depression that is caused by alcohol, the hangovers and headaches, diseases. Now, there's a book in the market, new book that is called You Are What You Drink. I've mentioned it before. And it lists unbelievable, disastrous health problems from alcohol. Because it dissolves your brain. I mean, I'm talking about cancer, blood pressure, heart disease. Established, scientifically established. Liver disease, of course, that's known a long time ago. And the same is happening with violating this verse 29. They keep their chastity. The same thing is happening. There are unheard of diseases coming out. AIDS is one of them. Uncurable. Skin cancer exposure. You're telling me that now you're telling me that now the females have a disease that is similar to AIDS. I heard about it a couple of weeks ago. You want to tell us more? Young girls who are sexually active because they're not physiologically ready. It takes maybe 10 years after the voice in the boy changes and the menstruation of the girl, maybe 10 years to really be ready to be pregnant and to be in a marriage relationship. So God knows, God created us and knows what is good for us. So if you think I spend too much time on this, it's deliberate. Because you have a lot of responsibility. There are lots of beautiful, wonderful kids running around here, and they must be protected. Like I said, don't worry, you just do your part. And you must know that your children are in God's hand. You can't be with them every time. But God chaperones your children. You're a person of God. And you must have that confidence. You must know that God is with your children, wherever they go. If they're riding a bicycle in the middle of the street, or they're out with other people, subjected to all the temptations of this society, don't worry. Drugs or sex or accidents, your children are in God's hand, and you must have that confidence. And being the oldest of you, I raised 2 kids, I know that. I'm speaking from experience. And I've seen how much God's protection is marvelous. And they have seen how you just do your part, and God will do His part in the most magnificent ways. So I don't have relations with anybody else. In fact, this is repeated In verse 30, it says they have relations only with their spouses or what is legally theirs. So there's a lot at stake. It is just not worth it violating these laws. These are very harsh. The punishment is very harsh. It seems out of proportion. So if you want to test it, go ahead. You're gonna pay through the nose. But if you want to abide by God's law, then you attain a lot of happiness and you avoid lots of problems. Okay, any questions? Yes.
How do you determine whether or not something's what if someone giving money or something just
Right, they're being selfish. Like the fellow who donated $1 million to the cancer center, but it had to be announced over the microphone in the stadium. This is showing off, and he's doing it for selfish reasons. Maybe, I mean, he has to be a believer in God to give things secretly, but the criterion is whether the person is cutting a portion of his money and giving it to the poor or not. The minimum is 2.5%. If the person is giving away at least 2.5% of his or her money to the poor, then they're all right. Farhan. Yes. This is verse 30. Yeah. Yes. Or is very important. Yes. Yes. This is the Quran is so accurate that you have to pay attention to what Farhat is just saying. Or and. There's a verse that says you shall observe Hajj and the Umrah. And I had translated it, maybe even in the old translation, or Umrah. But we're supposed to observe in pilgrimage. There are two things that must be observed: Hajj and Umrah. They must be done. So this is a similar. The difference is just a dash, wa or aw. That's the difference. You really have to pay attention to these things.
Yes, here, if you have spouses, you don't have legally.
Right.
It's just.
Well, see, because you either got married or you either got together without the benefit of marriage. I don't want to tell you that joke again. The guy in Africa who wanted to know the secret of happy marriage and something. What is marriage? So there are places in the world where there is no marriage.
What is legally theirs?
Yeah, legally means there may be societies where when the people reach the age of 21, they are actually engaged at the time of birth. In some of those societies, they had a boy in the family. Said, "This would be for my daughter." Okay, that's the tribe chief or something. And the daughter is not born yet, maybe. But these are political connections. So when they reach 21, they ship the boy and the girl into their new house and they become husband and wife forever. She's legally his and he's legally hers. But there was no marriage ceremony or no such thing as marriage. So the Quran must cover all situations. They legally belong to each other. In this country, common law marriages are legal as far as God is concerned. There are two people who decided to live together forever and raise a family. The intention is for being together forever. They don't go through the state and the papers and the priest or the justice of the peace or anything. But they live together forever, and that's legal as far as God is concerned.
In many places like psychiatric hospitals and what have you, the adolescents that have the most serious emotional problems, those come in with the most serious symptoms, typically the children of parents who were illicit, engaged in a lot of illicit sexual activity and committed adultery. A lot of these young people, they don't have any sense of genuine love or attraction. They, in fact, even at times express hatred and resentment toward their parents because they can't see their parents as loving each other. These are the ones that in fact are the most serious. I haven't, God knows, I haven't come in contact with a single case of an extremely serious emotional problems or this type of thing that has not included sometimes adultery, disregard for marriage.
By the way, I must clarify that when I talk about problems in marriage, there are always problems in marriage, but for people who keep their chastity until their marriage, they will have the regular problems of bickering over the budget and what to be spent where and which house to pick out and which room should be the living room and which room should be. These are normal problems. I talk about serious problems. If that are the price of the improper marriage.
You just mentioned that parents stoning children from one another at birth. That verse is Sura 4 verse 19. This is one thing that, this commandment, they can't do that. And can't marry his wife against their will, like if they're promised as children.
No, this is inheritance of the things that the wife possessed. It is not inheriting the person. I think I clarified this in the new translation. You shall not inherit your wives forcibly means you cannot force her to write a will giving you everything, giving the husband everything. That's what it means. But arranged marriages are done all over the world, and a lot of them are very successful. Well, this is prohibited in the Quran. Marriage against anybody's will is prohibited in the Quran anyway. So this, if a man inherits the wife in the sense that you're saying, and she's happy and he's happy and they get married, fine. The widows can get married, that's no problem. There's a Jewish tradition about the brother marrying his brother's widow. It's an old tradition in Judaism. There's nothing wrong with it if everybody's happy. Yeah, well, no, this is against the Quran. Pardon? Speak slowly.
There are quite a few societies.
Yes, a few societies. Actually, in this society, you find everything here in this society. Any other questions? Marie?
Many people here, they meet together, and when they want to leave, they say, yeah, we like each other, we leave. But they just, because they don't want to be legally.
Yes.
Yeah, and that, is it okay?
It's only okay if they decide that they are together forever and that they will raise a family, the children and everything, as a couple forever. The intention must be forever. They may break up next month or next year, but if the intention was they're getting together forever, then it's okay. It is not okay to get together with the intention that if things don't work out, goodbye.
Because most of them, they don't want to have that responsibility.
Right.
If they want to live and maybe they can have a baby by this living, but I think they don't want that. They have that responsibility, and but maybe they live 15 or more than that years.
Like I said, if the intention was that they live together forever, then it's perfectly all right.
Because married,
yeah.
And they don't have responsibility.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people get married and one or both have the intention of not being together forever. That's prostitution. Yeah, the Quran consistently talks about marriage, and and making it official and everything. Yes, but I'm talking about generally in this country for people who never saw the Quran, never came across
That's what I want.
the Quran. Marriage is a very organized institution according to the Quran, because God tells exactly who we can marry and who we cannot marry, and it's an elaborate and divine institution that is very organized. Yes, I'm glad you point this out.
Yeah, I got it wrong.
You're against the Quran.
Right. This is something that I want.
But we're going against the Quran. The true believer is the hardest working person and the best producer in his job or her job, wherever they go. And they enjoy every minute of it. Believers are very hard workers and the most honest workers, and they are the best producers, and they enjoy every second of it. They're not lazy. God doesn't want the lazies. He wants people on the ball in His kingdom. It was very good. The Surah 16 says the rich believer is better than the poor believer. And Edip wanted me to change this for possible misunderstandings, but I did not, because God meant that. Remember, it says the rich believer and the poor believer, both are believers. Both are equally believing. But one of them is able to do things, is able to give to charity, and able to further the cause of God and spread the word of God and do things that will make a difference. So this is a motivation.
But is it also a natural thing? Okay, it's consistent basically.
Yes, there are authorized printings, and they are the closest to the truth. We know the mistakes in them. There are 3 mistakes in them. In the authorized versions of the Quran printed in Saudi Arabia or Egypt. Avoid the ones printed in Iran. They misspelled them and messed them up.
Even the verses, the numbering of the verses.
That's possible, but I know that they simplified, quote unquote, the Quranic Arabic, and they wrote it in the modern. Also in Turkey?
Yes, misspelled.
Yeah. The first Quran ever in history that is the way God wanted it will be printed from here, come out of here in the next few weeks, inshallah. Farhan?
You mentioned about Persian translation. Another translation, its introduction mentions that rather than translate using Arabic, translating information using the meaning it is being used in law.
Yes.
Other translation.
Well, I have good news for you. There is a Farsi translation being done now from my translation. So we should have it in a year or so, inshallah. We are authorized Farsi translation. No. Susan Ray? No. It's done by Behrouz. You meet Behrouz? Behrouz Mufidi Shirazi. He's doing this. Just going very fast. Martha, did you say something? You're not reading your Muslim perspective, Ya Mushrif. You're not reading your Muslim perspective. Not maybe. You're not reading your Muslim perspective. It's right there. It's the answer to your question, yes. Perfect answer to your question in detail. So go read it now. Any other questions while Martha's reading the answer to her question?
Rashad Khalifa tonight. Find it. Read it.
Can you what? What did she say now?
I said, if any of the questions that Rashad can avoid tonight, by telling us to read something else. That's definitely very efficient, especially since it's 5:09 right now.
Yes. So this takes a minute, but it answers your question perfectly. The answer is yes. The Prophet Muhammad was given specific instructions. Every time Gabriel released Quran from Muhammad's soul to Muhammad's memory. He gave him instructions as to where these 3 or 4 verses belong. And he wrote down those verses, and he put the instructions next to them. So when he died, he left the complete Quran, but not in the order that God wanted for the world. He left the Quran with instructions on the side as to which surah goes after what surah and which verse goes after which verse. Exactly, they followed the instructions, they put the Quran together, but then Satan tricked them into adding 2 verses. And that was during Uthman time. And this triggered the war between Ali and his family and Umayyads. And right. There were 50 years of bitter war, but unfortunately the Umayyads won. So we got their version. We didn't get the version of the believers. No. He was an angel. No, he didn't see him as an angel. No, he didn't. Gabriel comes and takes and becomes part of Muhammad's body and releases so Gabriel will be the connection between Muhammad's soul and Muhammad's physical body. You didn't need to see him.
So like almost like what you talk to death.
No, not like that. When the possession you lose your identity completely. If you are possessed by an angel or a demon or whatever, Nagma disappears and the other entity takes over completely, and you have no consciousness at all. But Muhammad is fully conscious. He just had these words come to him, and he will write down the verse. It's come to his memory, just like you're remembering something. You remember that you took a final exam 3 days ago, and the questions were this, this, and this, and you can write them down. So this is how he received.
That all along it was the spirit.
Oh yeah. Okay, well, whatever your dearest wish is, turn to God and ask Him for it. The best wish being to stay on the right path. Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki Yawm al-Din. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqeen. Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. By all means, look at that miracle on the wall and thank God, because there is no doubt that we are the luckiest people on the face of the earth. Alhamdulillah. Congratulations.